Stan was born in Atlanta on May 16, 1958. Atlanta, Georgia, grew up in a home with a strong faith and ministry. His father, the famous pastor Dr. Charles Stanley, was the senior pastor of the First Baptist Church of Atlanta for many years. Andy's childhood was a unique mix of family life and the spiritual duties that came with living in a ministry home. His early years were shaped by his father's dedication to spreading the gospel, and his mother, Anna Stanley, gave him a safe place to pray and rejoice. As he entered the Unitary Presbyterian Church, Andy grew up in a loving home that balanced the demands of church life with the closeness of a family. His father was a spiritual leader, and Andy often saw him preparing sermons, counseling church members, and giving his all to the mission of the church. Being exposed to ministry at a young age gave Andy a deep respect for the values of faith, honesty, and service. However, growing up in such a home also had its challenges, as there were high expectations for him. The family of a famous pastor could be very strict, and Andy had to deal with the stresses of being in the public eye, while also trying to figure out who he was. As a child, Andy was active and curious, and he loved exploring the outdoors, playing sports, and being creative. He also developed a strong work ethic and a great sense of humor, which would later become important parts of his approach as a pastor and leader. Education played a big role in Andy's life. Andy's parents stressed the value of both academic and spiritual growth when he was young. He went to Atlanta public schools where he made friends and started to develop his leadership skills. Andy's close relationship with his parents, especially his father, Charles Stanley, was one of the most important parts of his childhood. Andy will always remember how dedicated Charles Stanley was to his faith and how he never stopped preaching the gospel. However, their relationship did have some rough spots. As Andy got older and started to question some of the traditional ways that he had seen ministry done, these tense times were very important in shaping Andy's view on faith and his choice to make his own way in ministry. That being said, Andy became interested in communication and public speaking when he was a teenager. He took part in school talks and church events where he practiced connecting with people and getting his point across clearly. During these formative years, Andy's natural charisma and ability to connect with people from all walks of life became clear. Even though he grew up in a devout Christian home, Andy had moments of doubt and questioning, as many young people do. These times of reflection helped him develop a faith that was deeply personal and real, rather than just adopting his parents' beliefs. Andy tried to figure out what Christianity was all about in his own way. Journey of Faith would later change the way he did ministry, stressing sincerity, relatability, and how important it is to meet people where they are in their spiritual journeys. Andy's childhood also had important family events that brought everyone together, like holidays. Family dinners and traditions helped everyone feel like they belonged and were stable. His mother was very important in making the home a loving and caring place, keeping the family grounded even when church was busy. As Andy grew up, he carried with him the lessons and ideals that were taught to him as a child. His experiences growing up in a moment in history. Focus family and his own journey of faith helped him become a leader who would have a big effect on the modern church. Andy Stanley is known for his creative approach to ministry, his ability to explain complicated ideas in a clear and simple way, and his dedication to making spaces where people can explore their faith in a safe way. He treated everyone with kindness and didn't judge them. His difficult and fortunate childhood set the stage for his amazing journey as a preacher, author, and important voice in the Christian community. Andy Stanley, a well-known pastor, author, and speaker, recently had a health scare that sent him to the hospital with appendicitis. This unexpected medical problem messed up his busy schedule and made him face his physical limits. During this time, he needed the support of his family, faith, and community. A difficult time. The ordeal started with sudden, sharp abdominal pain, which is a common sign of appendicitis. At first, Andy thought it might be a minor problem that would go away on its own, but as the pain got worse and was accompanied by nausea and fever, it became clear that he needed to see a doctor right away. His family, especially his wife Sandra, urged him to do so because they knew how important it was to treat these symptoms right away. Andy was taken to the hospital, where doctors quickly diagnosed him with appendicitis, is a disease that needs surgery right away to remove the swollen appendix before it bursts. Andy and his family were shocked by the diagnosis. Andy is very active and involved in ministry, so the thought of being limited by a medical condition was disheartening. Despite his worries, Andy's faith stayed strong. He often teaches others how to rely on God when things are uncertain, and now he was living those lessons himself, surrounded by a team of doctors and nurses with lots of experience. He got ready for surgery with a mix of fear and trust, hoping for a smooth procedure and a quick recovery. Andy woke up in the recovery room to the comforting presence of Sandra and their children after the surgery went well. However, the days that followed brought new problems. For someone who was used to a busy routine, the pain after surgery made it hard to move around, and the need to rest were big changes. Andy was told to take a break from being a priest and concentrate on healing, which he did, even though it was hard for him to leave his job while he was recovering. Andy was overwhelmed by the outpouring of support from his congregation and followers. Messages of prayer and encouragement kept coming in, reminding him of the strength and compassion of the community he had built. His family became his biggest source of comfort, with Sandra taking care of the house and ministry duties while making sure Andy got the care and attention he needed. They showered their children with their love, and humor brought times of happiness that made the hard work of recovery less painful. There were times when I thought about what I had done. Andy, who often talks about finding purpose in every stage of life, saw the health challenge as a chance to practice gratitude and self-reflection. As he lay in bed, he thought about how important it is to put health first and find a balance between work and personal well-being. He also felt more compassion for people who have long-term illnesses or are recovering from them, realizing how isolating and hard it can be for them, as been through as his strength slowly returned. Andy started giving his congregation updates and thanking them from the bottom of his heart for their prayers and support. In these updates, he was honest about the lessons he was learning, like how important it is to listen to your body, how important community is, and how important it is to slow down and focus on what really matters. Many people were deeply moved by his honesty, which showed a more sensitive side of a leader they looked up to who was returning to the pulpit after having lost to lose people in a children's private ways. It was an emotional time when he got better. Andy's first talk after being in the hospital was about being strong, having faith, and being thankful. He used his recent experience to show how important it is to trust God through life's unexpected problems and how important it is to support each other through hard times. His words had more meaning because he had been through and gotten through a health scare himself. Andy Stanley's bout with appendicitis was a lesson of how unpredictable life is, and the toughness needed to deal with its difficulties. Andy's experience tested his physical and emotional strength, but it also showed him how important faith, family, and community are. This chapter became a testimony to the grace of God and the unwavering support of loved ones, giving him a new perspective on the blessings of health and the value of rest in a life with purpose. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like and comment. Below, tell me what you think, and I'll see you in the next movie.